Hello everybody, and welcome to Lucky by Nature. Beastdaemon here, and finally I was able to do the updated version of the fastest way to level up. I'm just going to call it the LBN's Level Up Run. The new servers are just around the corner, so it will be a race for supremacy. And the best way to get there is to level up fast. I know that people have other methods that they swear by, but trust me, I have tested them all, and not one of them compares, not by a long shot. But if you don't believe me, then you should test it yourself. It will, however, take practice. So before you go into the new servers, make sure you run this on your single player, even in God mode, so you can get used to the route, and you will be shocked at how effective this method is. Now, I am going to put up two versions of the same video. This video will have the focus on the runner's view, so the aerial view is going to be small. If you prefer to have the aerial view instead, then check out the other video with the same name but with aerial view. So let's get to it. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to spawn on West Zone 2. And there are different areas within the zone that you can spawn. But once you get used to this run, it won't matter, because you'll be able to get up and start running the routes no matter where you're at. So right now we are headed towards the cliff, and as you can see on the aerial view, it kind of shows you a much better view to where we are headed and what we're doing here. So the first thing we're going to work on is our speed. That is a must. And I am on God mode because I did realize that on the last video that I did, people were getting turned around because I was running for my life and I was running in circles and doing all that stuff, and so people would get turned around. So I decided to do this one on God mode, so that way I go from point A to point B and you guys won't get lost and it'll be a lot more clear. So right now what we did is we basically went to the top area on top of basically the cliff, and now we're going to go through the clearing. And here we are. So we will continue working on our speed until we get to 133. That type of speed will be fast enough to outrun almost every single dino on the map, but the only thing you will have to worry about is allos. Well, and of course probably a giga too. But hopefully you won't see any on the route. So on the map, as you can see, that's an approximate position, but you will be able to see it right away as soon as you go in. Starting to get a little foggy on the map, but that's the way you want to go. And it's important to pay attention what I'm doing on the runner view, because basically I always position myself the way that I'm gonna run. And so now we need to go all the way to the top of this little hill. And usually there's Trudons throughout this little island, but during the day there's not really too much to worry about. But that's just something to keep in mind. If a Trudon does get you, keep an eye on the timer until you pass out. And while you do that, try to run towards water or If there is no water anywhere close to you, then just try to get on the rock, and hopefully they won't get you. But now you basically just go downhill, and it's a good thing we're on leave me alone actually, so they ignore me. They don't even know I'm here. So now we're gonna head towards the Y of the river, because our route is gonna take us right by the waterfalls. And usually right through here there are piranhas, and sometimes there's sarcos. Usually just one sarco. But other times, you know, there's not much here, so it all depends. Just be careful. Alright, so we are headed to close to the second waterfall. I hear the first one, and there's the second one. Alright, so now we are going to go towards all the trees, all the forest area. This one it can be a little tough to find. So it's very important that you set yourself up. The arrow is showing you basically which way we're going to go. And I'm looking at that tree. I'm going to go right beside the tree, to the right of it. Now try to go as straight as possible. And watch the markers, like these rocks. You will see these rocks to your left. And just go straight. And now we will be coming up to a rock. There it is, right here. And that's your marker. That's when you gotta turn. And see, it's right beside it. So that's nice and easy. And on the aerial view it just shows you, but of course you won't have the aerial view, but it kind of is showing you basically, you know, to find your way. But now pay attention to where I am looking on the runner view, and then pay close attention to the markers. You will always see that big rock there, and I always go between that big rock and that tree. Then you will see these rocks here close together. And go as straight as possible, and it will take you to the very next one. And also remember, by this point your water should be pretty low. You should have picked some water up over by the waterfall, so always keep an eye on that. But I always find myself with low water here, so now we're gonna head out towards the ocean. And so on the aerial view, it clearly shows you which way we're going. And when it rains, it's nice, because then now I wouldn't need to go all the way down to the ocean, but I'm still going to do it just because you won't always have the rain. You know, sometimes you're lucky, but other times you're not. Also, always make sure that you pick up berries as you're running. And also put your berries in your hotbar, your quick bar. So that way, while you're running, you can just push your D-pad and eat. And you don't have anything to worry about. So now we're running along the water here. And we are looking for these rocks right here. And then now we're going to turn. The aerial view shows you clearly what's going on. And so now we're gonna go just basically up the mountain. Oh. All right. And on the aerial view you should be able to see the You know, that little, whatever it's called. But that's where we're headed. The ruin, that's what it's called. The ruin. And as you can see, we're picking up levels like crazy. Now we are gonna be looking straight at that tree, and we're gonna go right beside the tree. But you gotta go slow right through here, or you're gonna end up falling down and you're gonna hurt yourself right through here. Because we got a lot of speed, guys. Now you can run really fast, so. And right before you go out from the tree line, just turn slightly to the right and just go along the tree line more or less, and you'll always find this one every single time. Right here, you'll probably be running out of water, so I would suggest that you start making your way towards the ocean over here so you can refill. And then keep on going. We're gonna go back in because there's a pretty large ruins over here. And here it is. And as you can see, we've been at this for 12 minutes real time. And you can see our level. So now we're gonna head back the way we came. And we're gonna go by the water, and that's a good chance for you to refill your water. As you get faster, and also as you start putting more stam on, you won't go through water as fast. So this time we're headed all the way to the ocean because there's a pile of rocks, and you cannot get confused between there's two piles of rocks, but this one you can tell that this is the one we're looking for because of those, you know, kind of spikes, I guess they are. And here it is. Alright, so now we keep on going north, and over here there's two almost right by each other. I mean, like really close. So we're gonna get this one down here, and then the other one is right above us. And so we're just gonna go around a little bit here, and it's right here, right at the end of this. And so now we're gonna keep on going north. The next one is you know, a bit far, so this is gonna be a long run, but we are going to go past a waterfall, and that's where you can refill your or replenish your water. And also don't forget, if you are running out of water or you're thirsty already, I believe the blue berries are the ones that replenish some of your water. So that's always nice. Oh, I'm stuck. Alright. There we go. So now we just run along the edge of the cliff here until it goes all the way down. Then the next thing we're looking for is the finger of the mountain. And right before it, there's going to be a couple of trees. We're looking for the second tree. And then there is a pile of rocks right by it. There we go. It's right here. Right between the rocks. Now we got to go up the finger of the mountain. And over here, guys, there is like a couple of, like, I would call them steps, but on the aerial view you can see which way we need to go. And see, I go literally right by the little cliff here, and as soon as I see this rock that overhangs, it's right here, because you can't go any further or you're gonna fall. Alright, so now we're gonna go up the mountain. See the aerial view. So usually I hug this cliff over here, and then we end up going right to the area that allows us to go up there. You can get stuck a little bit, so just kind of like move to the right or the left, you know, until you make it all the way up. And then we got one little area over here to go up. And there's a big ruin here. And see, as you saw, there's raptors up here. There's all kinds of goodies. Not really goodies, but stuff that can really mess you up. Now, so now I'm gonna run just towards these trees, and there's gonna be a pile of rocks, and it's gonna be in between the rocks. Now from here, I always look towards the volcano and then start running towards the right edge of the volcano. And this usually takes us right to the river, close to the waterfall that we're looking for. And as you can see, I do try to run as straight as possible, but you know, sometimes you have to go around little rocks and stuff, but you know, do try to stay as straight as possible. And here we are, I can hear it. Then from here we just go across. You can walk right across, you don't have to swim. Probably take a drink. Then we go slightly upriver, and right here where these stones are, you saw they're kind of close. We go up. This one is a little tricky. Always look at that one tree and turn a little bit to the left of it, and it takes me to it every time. And so now we're gonna have to go at an angle. But just look at which way I'm going. I run along this rock. It's gonna be to my left, and just go straight. And just like before, try to stay as straight as possible, and as you can see, it takes you right to it. So that's going to be the biggest thing. Whenever you do your run, just look at the markers. You know, use stones, use certain trees, but usually the stones, because they have certain formations and stuff that you can remember. And so now we have to go back towards the waterfall. Sometimes I jump down there on the bottom, but there is a spino down there, so there's no, reason for me to do that. So I will just go through the waterfall, which is perfectly fine as well. I usually like the other way just because it does cut my time a little bit, so any shortcuts I can take, I will. And so now we just run along the river, and we will come up to another large ruin right by the water. And our speed is fast enough to outrun the all those raptors and stuff that you've seen. Usually they don't stand a chance, and I do fly right by them. It's not a big deal. So now we're just gonna go down the side of this river. You can hear the waterfall. This is probably the most dangerous area. We gotta go across the water. And then you just kind of run along the river again. But except this time we're on this side. There's a lot of pachyrhinos in this area. And what we're looking for is basically there's going to be rocks, and it's going to be right in front of the rocks. Yeah, right there. So now look at the aerial view of where we're going, and as you saw on the runner's view, I went between two rocks, and this one can be a little tricky because you can't be too far in and you can't be right by the edge of the little cliff. And here we go. I even went in on the aerial view just to show you exactly where it's at. And right here, you can get turned around, but the best way to do it is basically you will see this cliff and just hug it. There's going to be a lot of rocks like this getting in the way. But we are going to hug the cliff, and when it ends, you just keep on going straight. Don't go around with it, because then that's gonna be bad. You will end up all the way back towards the ocean. So now we're just going directly straight. On the aerial view, you can see which way we're going, and we're gonna get to the end here in a second, almost to the clearing on the aerial view. But we're almost there. When we get there, then we just go up the cliff. See, here's the end. So now we go up. And there's really only one way I can find this one. Because this one to me is probably one of the hardest to find. And this right here that I just went through is a great way to get away from stuff that's after you. That's like a Carno or a raptor. But I always go to this little peak right here in front of me. Then I turn, and you see where I'm at. And then I go right by this tree every single time. And then I go to the left of these rocks and follow the right along the rocks, and just go straight as possible once again. And when I come up here to that one tree that you saw, I always know to slow down because I know it's right by it. And always make sure you go right back the same way you came, because if you don't, once again, you will end up getting turned around. Because we need to go back exactly where we came in from. And now we just run along the cliff again, because we're going to go down and then we're going to come back. To see on the aerial view, we're showing you which way we're going. And then we're gonna go around, and that's where the ruins are. And now in the aerial view, I'm showing you which way we're going. So now on the runner's view, just look and see what we're going by. Like I said, landmarks. And I am going as straight as I can, but we're gonna have to adjust a little bit. We are going towards the swamp. And see, it's right here. This one's really easy to find. But now this next one, not so easy. So the aerial view is showing you which way we're going. I'm going to run close to the swamp, but just remember there are a lot of Titan boas and such. But as long as you're running and you don't get stuck on anything, you'll be fine. And what I'm looking for is a large stone. And as you can see there, I mean, there's a lot of large stones as we're running. But kind of keep it, you know, just in the back of your head. Because at first I used to have issues with this one, but now it's fairly easy to find. So I just keep on running, and you will see the big rock here in a little bit. It should be this one up here. Yep. Like, you gotta be able to recognize these large boulders, because now we're going right up beside them, and this should take us right back to where the water is, where the waterfalls were, except we're just slightly to, you know, well, we're on the left side instead of the right side this time. And now what we're looking for is the clearings. On the aerial view, you can see the first large clearing there, but we actually need to go to the second one, the small one up on top. And it will be right by the rocks. It's just by itself. And now we're gonna head back towards the river. And this node is also by itself, right by another rock here. And now we are gonna go back to the other side, but and we're just gonna run along the river. We already more or less ran on the other side. Now we're running on this side. And there's quite a few close by. But you want to go by all these large stones. And it's right here. The next one is really nice and close as well. Now let's just drop down from the top. Now we just gotta go to the next small cliff. And so now we gotta go through the little river, but there's a little area over here where you can just walk past it. You don't have to swim. And then we gotta go around. On the aerial view, you can see where that large tree is. It's right next to it. We're about 30 minutes in. I think we're doing pretty good. So now we're going to go straight out as we come out of this area. And here what I'm looking for is the cliff that, if you look over on the aerial view, there's a cliff right ahead of us. So now I'm looking for a small little path. I'll be able to see the cliff, like a perfect view. It's a little path towards the cliff. Yeah, see right here. That's what I'm looking for, because I know that I'm really, really close to it. And so I just go along the rocks here, and that's how I find it every time. And this one is important. Whenever you get it, watch which way I'm facing and then just run straight. You have to dodge, all those trees, but try to run straight. You will come through this clearing, and then this little area slightly to the right here. And that's how I find it every single time as well. So now it's time for us to go across the water. And obviously you can work on whatever you want. Me, I do spend a lot of time in the water, so I do tend to work on my oxygen. And that comes real handy right through here, because usually there's piranhas and things like that. And you got to get across as fast as you can. And the oxygen, the higher the oxygen, the faster you swim. With 300 oxygen, I can actually outrun, well, I wouldn't say outrun, but I can stay ahead of the sharks. You can hear them trying to bite me behind me, but they don't. As you can see, there's a spino over there playing around. If this was a real run on a real server, on an official server, obviously I would try to stay away from that. Usually there's saber fish or whatever you want to call them. I don't remember what they're called. That usually we have to worry about right through that area. Sometimes piranhas. Here we are looking for the rocks that you see on the aerial view, and the arrow is showing you which way we're going, because I always set myself up right here. You can't really see this all that great from the aerial view, so I'm just giving you guys an approximate. And so now the arrow is showing you which way we're gonna go from there. My marker for this one is another stone that is brownish. And now I set myself up. The arrow showing you which way we're running. But up here, it gets a little tricky. As you can see, the two rocks up here, we're actually going to go under them. And then go over. Because if you don't, you're going to walk right past it and won't even see it. And then it's hell trying to find it. Now from here, we are going to go to the highest peak of this small island. On the aerial view, you can see it way up there, and that's where we're going. And you have, I guess, a little path through here that can take you up there, but you know, I just don't like the whole zigzag thing, so I try to go as straight as possible. There are two in this area, but I always go to the top one first, and then from the top we can see where the other one is, because the second one is by, it looks like steps. Now let's look over. See, from the aerial view you can see the steps. There's trees. So let's go on down. This is the area where that Trudon got me on the hardcore PvP run. But it's right here by these trees. It's all by itself. So now we're gonna go towards the river. So we're going east to the next island. And this is another area where piranhas could be a problem. But like I said, if your oxygen is high enough, you should have no issue. Alright, so here we are going to take a shortcut. I used to actually run around, but now I just take this shortcut because it is a lot faster. And the aerial view shows you where. Now we just keep on going forward and it'll take us to the water. And there are 3 notes and dossiers on this rock island. Now you can't miss this next one. It's impossible. Then we take the first right, this little path. Alright, so now we got a pretty long run to the next one. And these next couple are a little tougher to find. So I am gonna try my best to show you. And that's why, you know, you gotta have both the aerial view and the running view, because yeah, it's some of these are pretty tricky. Now we need to go across the river. This is also a dangerous spot with piranhas. Luckily, the next little part of the river we can just run across. So on this one, it is very important to keep an eye on the running view, because this one can be a little tricky. Very, very tricky, the first one. Once you find the first one, the second one is a lot easier. Okay, and see, I'm I realized that I was a little too high. Luckily, I recognized the big boulders, and I can adjust. And you know, like I said before, if you guys practice this, you won't have any issue. This one is pretty much a straight shot, as long as you are facing the right direction. Now we're gonna have a pretty long run to the next couple. But we are 43 minutes in, and our levels are doing pretty good. That's why whenever I hear, you know, people say that there's these other ways of leveling up, like, I gotta see it to believe it. And so far, I haven't seen it. So I'm really glad that Arc decided to, you know, Wildcard decided to do this, because the old-fashioned way was pretty horrible. It took way too long to level up. And I mean, I was just like everybody else, you know. Once I was able to do or to build some rafts, that's what I would do. I would build raft after raft and then destroy them and get half the resources back. I mean, it was a mess, and it still took quite a long time because just to get the stuff, you know, to the resources to do that, it sucks. But right now we don't have anything to lose. We just run, and that's it. Picking up levels like crazy. Alright, so we're close to the next one. Then we take a little shortcut over here. That way we don't have to go back to the beach and go around like the aerial view is showing. I mean, you can't miss this one either. And then what we are going to do is we're going to go to this shallow end, or the shallow area. because I really don't want to see. Look at all those piranhas there. I don't want to deal with that. So that way we just run across. Now we are in a cluster where there are a lot of those notes and dossiers. So I gotta find the first one here, which is just up here somewhere, because it's easiest for me to find it by going straight. And then to my right there should be the cliff. Okay, where are you? Where are you? Okay, there it is. Yeah, this one, I mean, you can miss it I've tried different ways of doing this and it doesn't work. So now from here I go straight towards the cliff that you see on the aerial view. The arrow is showing you our path. And once I hit the cliff, I just run alongside of it because, you know, that way you can't miss. Okay, so now we gotta go back in. And this is important, the way we're looking. I'm running towards these rocks. And kind of slow it down because you can miss this one real quick. Oh, there it is. See, I went off course a little bit. If I get too far, I tend to go back towards the cliff to our left right here, and then backtrack. So now usually I just go straight like this, and for some reason it takes me to the same spot every time up until I hit the cliff, and look, it brings me here, and I don't even know why, but I tend to always look that way and it takes me right to it. In this one, don't make the mistake of going straight because you'll end up in a different area. You have to go slightly to the right. But just slightly, not too much. And we keep on going forward. And it'll take us to the next one. This one's pretty easy to find. And we go towards these trees. As you can see, the opening over there, and there's a cliff to the right, so you can't miss this one either. Just go along the cliff and go around it. The ruins, you can't miss. They're really large. So as you saw, we picked up quite a few right in this area. So there's areas where there's clusters like this. All right, so now we gotta go to, more or less towards Herbivore Island. So you can see it up there, but we can't get down from here. So you have a choice. You can either go right or left. Either way, it'll allow you to go down, because we need to go to the very front. It would be nice if I could just jump down, but now sometimes if I do see a drop, like a green drop, I do like going after those, because sometimes you do get useful stuff. Sometimes you find parachutes, and that's always nice because that cuts a lot of time. Just jump down. And there we are. Alright, so this next part is optional, if you didn't work on your oxygen, then I definitely do not suggest you go across in the water because you will die. There's always sharks. And like I said, I have 300 oxygen, and that is just fast enough to stay ahead of them. But if you do not, you will die. So there's 3 over here in this area. And I used to not pick these up, but you know, they do give me at least 1 level, so. And here's the first one. Then the second one is way down here by a large stone. And then the last one, we have to go up there on top of the cliff. And I found that the quickest way to do it is just going this route. Now, the reason that Vixen and I are really good at doing this stuff is because right now, while I do this, she's at this point she would be getting dodos, getting some eggs and things like that, and she would actually be, you know, working on stuff to do kibble. Because even a couple of kibble will get me, you know, just a few kibble will get me a low level Pteranodon. And I'm so high level right now that, I mean, I can build a lot of things that we need. And once I get going, get the Pteranodon, then I am ready to keep on leveling up. And since I know where every single one of these dossiers and notes are, it takes me no time to be up in the 80s. So yeah, she usually gets stuck with the grinding. And then usually once I'm done, you know, leveling up to a certain point, usually it's 80, so I can start picking up red drops, because you know, you use the same type of kibble to get those dolphins, and they're so easy to get. But I guess you could say we have this down to science. Alright, so we're gonna head back to where we came from. And by this point, our stamina is, you know, pretty high. Our speed, our oxygen, so the swim is not a big deal. The running, we can run pretty long distances. So for the most part, I try to get my weight up to 300, and then I start working on my health to get it up to 400. So if you haven't been paying attention, first I work on my speed, then my stamina, then I usually go for oxygen, and once I get to around 200, just so I can get across those rivers quick enough, Then I start working on my health, and then I go back to oxygen till I get to 300. With my health, I usually get to 200, then back down to oxygen, then I go back to health, and then down to weight. So I try to keep it pretty level, I guess you could say. But it's entirely up to you how you want to do it, what works best for you. This is just what works best for us. Alright, so here I am going to miss one, and the reason is because it doesn't really make any difference. I can come back later and get it, but the fact that they put this, these so far apart, that kind of sucks. And if it did get me up to the next level, then I would get it, but it's not going to, so it's not a big deal. So this one here is by the tree. On the aerial view, you see Brontos right there by the tree. And it's over here by the end. And so now we just gotta go along the cliff until it goes down to the bottom. I do have shortcuts for a lot of this stuff, but I found that that is a lot harder to follow. And you may end up making your own shortcuts once you're used to this. So that's why I figure I run along the side of stuff, a lot of cliffs, obviously, because it's easier for you guys to keep track. And so as you saw, I went down, and then I'm just gonna go right up this other, right along the cliff again. And so on the aerial view, I'm going to show you basically about where it's at. But I always look for this big boulder, and it's always behind it. That's how I find it. So now right here, I could take a huge shortcut, but I'm gonna try to go and run along the side of another little cliff here. So you can take a semi shortcut. And this path will come up to a Y, but if you're running on the bottom, it's bad. It's bad news because there's a lot of Trudons usually. So now I'm taking a shortcut right here on the aerial view. I mean, it's kind of tough to see, so I'm just gonna kind of show you about where it's at. And this one is one of those where you're just gonna have to play with it. Kind of watch for markers once again. So now we're headed towards the swamp. And this is where it could get a little tricky, a little dangerous. But this area where I'm going, there's only one spot that you would have to swim, but we are fast enough that you can jump it. You just have to time it right. Right here. See? So we're good to go. Nothing can get us. And we're too fast for leeches to get us. So everything's good. So our next note is gonna be over here right by this tree, or right behind it. And now we're gonna be running towards these two massive boulders over here. And I like to go on this side. You can go on the other side, but there's they're kind of split in the middle. But this one is kind of under the second one. Alright, so here we have a really long run. We have to go towards the ocean, and then we have to come back because we have to be up there on top of the cliff over there. But that's the way we're going. And then that's the way we're coming back. So on the aerial view, we're pretty much just gonna go towards where the artifact is and wait for the running version to catch up. But at this point right here, I would be running low on water, so I would be running alongside the swamp, taking a quick drink and then coming back out, because you still have to watch out for those Titan boas. And we finally reached the bottom over here. Now we can go back up. And running alongside the cliff is fine, because that'll take you right to it anyway. I mean, it's pretty much in the open field anyway, so you can't miss it. The biggest worry would have to be like raptors and dillos. Alright, so now we're gonna go down the open field. And this is kind of a long run as well, but this is probably where you may have to walk some and run some, because there is no water in the area, and unless it's raining like it is right now, that's nice, then I can go full speed. But otherwise I would try to conserve water a little bit. But the other one is right here by this tree. And now we're gonna go up the hill. And we are headed towards the area where, to me, it looks like Stonehenge a bit. But this one is, you can't miss it. It's easy to find. This next one, however, is a bit hard to find. So just watch the runner, see where he's going. Going down. Usually in this area it gets lighter once we get down here somewhere. Let's see if it happens. But I'm turning slightly towards the east, and it's over there. I see it. Yeah, there it is. I knew I saw it. So now we gotta make our way back towards the ocean. So we just keep on going the same way we were initially running towards the east. This is a long run. And by this point you would be thirsty, very thirsty. So what I like to do is I like to save the blueberries. I can't remember what they're called, but yeah, save those for when I'm really thirsty. So I usually eat the other ones. And this is this square, more or less. And I go to the corner and then I just follow the tree lines, and then there's boulders to my left, as you can see. And there it is. Every time. Markers, guys, markers. Always keep those markers in your mind. And if you miss one, then go back to where I came in and do it again. You'll get used to it. You'll get the hang of it. Oh man, this guy. Alright, so we are going up this mountain. And this one is a little tough to get up there. So what you have to do, you have to get as high as you can right here. Then just jump over and over. Just keep on jumping. Keep on jumping. Uh-oh. And there we go. And usually by now you shouldn't have any issue, because I know it's cold here, but you should have around 300 health, so you should be able to live through this. Because by the time I get here, I mean I never die from the cold, but you do start losing health, obviously. Okay, so this one looks pretty steep, but just like before, at the start, you have to kind of go right and left, left and right, whichever way it works. Because as you can see, I hit spots that I can not go up, and I just move. Now, if this was an actual run, I would end up making these guys fall down. Because we got tricks for everything. And it's so steep that these guys just end up flying down. But see, that would take me a little longer, and that would waste a little time. Now here you have to go really slow, because if you start running, you're gonna end up falling pretty far, and you may end up getting killed. So now we are going straight up this area. Don't make the mistake of trying to go to the right here. Just keep on going towards that tree that you see up there. Okay, now you can go down, but on the aerial view, I'm gonna keep on going the other way. just because it's got a broader view, but to show you basically where I'm going, because the runner view, I'm going down, but then I'm also going towards I guess I'm pointing towards Carno Island, because that's the way we gotta go. And the only way that I can find this next one is if I go this way towards Carno Island, and I will end up running right at a cliff, or into a cliff, a drop off. See, I can see it's all bright, so I know that that's where it's at. And so then I walk along the cliff. See, here's the cliff. Over there's Carno. And then I take a look at these rocks. I go past these rocks. You see where it gets really narrow right here. And then I go in. And then there's this huge boulder to my left. And it takes me to the spot every time. So now what we want to do is we want to head towards the ocean, because you should be pretty thirsty by now. And you can take a drink as you're running, or if your stamina is low, you can wait. If a Rex is after you, that's when I would jump towards into the ocean. Alright, so now we are looking for a set of rocks, or a bunch of rocks, these right here. And now we are gonna go up the mountain. So this should take us right to the next dossier or note. And as you can see, I mean, I've had to adjust slightly, a little bit here and there. So just look at the markers, and it should be right here. Yeah, it's hiding behind these big boulders. And it's right on the corner. So I'm just gonna jump there. It's kind of a little tricky. There we go. Now we need to go back towards the water, towards the inlet of that river. Or outlet, I guess you could say, because water should be going out. But whatever, whichever way it is, you know what I mean. So I'm gonna try to get as close as possible to the spot, and you may just have to adjust depending on where you're at, but I will show you basically what you're looking for. And what you're looking for are these pile of rocks right here. So see, I came out almost right on it. That's freaking awesome. And you come to these trees right here, and it's, I mean, it's hard to see, as you can see, because of all these bamboo or whatever it is. But hopefully with this video you'll be able to find it every time. And now we want to go to the smallest area where we can go across the river, because on the aerial view you can see the actual pillar or whatever of where we're going, where we're headed, because you can see the ruins first before the everything else starts to spawn around it. You can see the boulders are spawning around it now, but that's where it's at. So we just gotta go around these Now we gotta go into the forest, and here there's a little pond that's hidden. The aerial view shows you the pond. And it's right in the middle of it. And now we just want to go straight. And what we're going towards is an entrance to the hidden lake. But there's a bunch of rocks over here that form like a bridge across that path. And that is the markers that I'm looking for. Because as you can see, I'm going too far to the north a little bit. And so I'm going to have to, once I hit the little cliff here, I'm going to have to turn more south. And find the pile of rocks. And right here. And it's going to be at the end of the rocks. So here we are. And now we can go back along the cliff. And there's a little area that I like to go down without getting hurt. Because ultimately we want to get into the hidden lake, because there's two that we need to pick up. So right here, what I'm looking for is this tree. And down at the bottom, there is a rock. And that's what I aim for. Right there. And it doesn't hurt you because as long as you hit the side of it right here and you just kind of float in. It's kind of weird because it's kind of tight right there. So when you land, you're basically floating. And so now this other one's over here by some rocks. And then the next one is easy to find because the ruins are massive. It's large ruins. Okay, we just run towards the another exit. There's 3 entrances here that bring you into the lake, the hidden lake. And so we would want to keep on going out this exit here. And that will take us to one of my favorite spots actually. This is the area where we always build, usually, if it's available. And we are going to the peak. And it's right next to the large tree. Easy enough to find. So now we are going to get our last one for the run. And that will get us to level 76. Which, I mean, I think it's ridiculous considering that we've been at this for an hour and 19 minutes and 30 seconds right at this time. But by the time we get to it, we should be at around an hour and maybe 21 minutes maybe. This is kind of a long run. And obviously, now that we're getting higher levels, it's going to take longer. But there are still so many notes and dossiers out there. That's why at this point, like I said before, you know, Vixen would be either getting me a Pteranodon or she would be working on something, because to get the kibble, obviously it's going to take a bit. So the very first pteranodon, we usually get it with meat, and it's usually a really low level one. Then the second one, it's usually a really high level, anywhere between 140 and 150, because by then, you know, we already have our garden and everything going, so it usually works out really well. And here we are. That is the last one, guys. And level 76 in less than an hour and a half. Obviously, it will take a little longer. But anyway, that's it for me, guys. So until next time, keep surviving.
My work saved the human race.